Okay.
Hello, everyone. My name is Roland Dupre, and I'm with East Hartford Public Library, Raymond Library. And today's author is Beth Lapin. And we also have another author here, Kirsten Lankford Schiffer. The Beth Lapin has a new book out. It's called A Good Life, Joy Day. And that you can see I've marked it. I will be talking about these pages here. Um, and Beth, can you speak to the book?
Sure, sure. Um, so I've written a few books and was in a writing group. And in 2012, someone mentioned that there was a blogging challenge. And blogging is one of the ways you can get to promote your books and your writing. And it's supposed to be a good thing to do. So I decided I would participate in that challenge in 2012. And it's called the A to Z Blogging Challenge. It happens in the month of April. And every day in April, you pick a theme. And then every day you go through the alphabet and you write about a topic that begins with that letter of the alphabet that relates to your theme. So I chose A Good Life, and I decided to talk about attributes that contributed to a good life. And I went through the alphabet in April. And I had only heard about it the day before it started, so I had nothing prepared. So it was a really interesting challenge that way. The goal, in addition to adding to your blogging repertoire, is to visit other bloggers that are participating in this challenge. And the first year I started, there were probably 2,000 other bloggers doing this. And so every day I would post my blog. I would go visit a certain number of other bloggers and comment on their places, and people would comment on mine. And it was fascinating because people from all over the world were looking at my blog. There were 25 countries, and the way it worked at that time, you could actually see which countries were visiting you and how many times. And this is really awesome. And I made connections with certain people. One woman lives in South Africa, is in Washington State. But these women have become consistent commenters on my blogs or Facebook contemporaries, and it's been fascinating. There are other people whose blogs I now follow because of it. So that was kind of cool. And the next year came around and I thought, well, I'll continue on the theme of a good life. And I came up with another way of looking at it. So one year it was affirmations for a good life. And again, went through the alphabet. And after a couple of years, I thought, if I do this for 12 years, I'll have 12 months worth of comments that I could put into a book that includes sort of daily inspirational comments. And so this is my 12th year. Excuse me. And so that's how the book came about.
Wow. So that's the organization. I remember you talking about this before, and I didn't realize that it was 12 years that took you 12 years.
I know. Isn't that crazy? Persistence.
That's wild.
Yes.
I
Yeah.
love it. I love it.
And I started putting them together this year in December. So I had one more year to write, and I started working on that. So this year's focus is wisdom for a good life, and it's based on quotes from Socrates. And so I'm still posting them and commenting, and we're going through the alphabet. Today, the 18th was the letter O. So I had a quote from Socrates that had something to do with the letter O, and put that up there and worked on that from there. I've used quotations from songs. I've used all different kinds of, it depends what the topic is. One year I decided to focus on nutrition for a good life. And so each day is a food, and I've researched the nutritional value of that particular item, what it does for me. And usually at the end of each one, I'll have sort of an introspective question that involves the reader, which when you're blogging, it helps get reader response. But as a person reading this book, you also would then participate more and could. Yeah, so that's kind of how it's come about.
Okay, so now I'm getting it a little bit better how this is, well, very much contemporary, okay? I have to say, to me, these are not 12-year-old pieces of advice. These are now. And how you're talking about them is now. And did you edit them at all? Did you change?
Yes, I did. So during the pandemic, I focused on things that you can do in isolation. And it's like, okay, well, I don't really want to, quite do it that way. So I reworked that one to be things you can do independently, whether, and there were a few on that particular year that I had to modify a little because it didn't make sense in a bigger picture.
Yeah, and these little pieces at the end, there's some links that you've included. I guess, is there a Kindle version too, or?
There is an ebook version, and there's also a large print version. So the book is very, I don't know where I can hold it so you can see, but Roland, you can do that. It's handy, it's hand sized, and it's very comfortable. But one of my, so I have a beta reader, and he said, well, can you do it in large print? And I was like, oh, I've never tried that. So I went through that, and it's in order to keep each entry onto one page, I had to go to 8.5 by 11 size on this. So a friend of mine from high school purchased it, and he says, I have a coffee table book. And he sent me a picture of it on his coffee table.
It is one of those kind of books that you can just pick up and say, oh, hey, what? Whoa, you what? It's kind of cool. And yeah.
Go ahead. No,
works as a coffee table book.
Yes. So another part that's interesting is this never occurred to me when I was putting it together, but so your birthday's in here, and so there's a little thing for your birthday. So I was out hiking with a friend this afternoon, and she's a fiber artist. She does mostly quilting type of things, but I said, well, when's your birthday? So I looked it up, May 30th. What's her word? Yarn.
Oh, whoa.
Which is very cool. So
I was going to say, is there a quilting one? I don't know.
No, but there was yarn, and I talk about it as either being a story, like a yarn, or, an actual piece of yarn. So yeah, that was pretty, and there's been a couple of people who have then said, oh, let me see my birthday. And they're like, oh my God, that's perfect. So who knows? I mean,
I did look up my birthday, by the way.
Yes.
I did, and I didn't like it. It was too long because I wanted to read one of the things. So I have March 4th.
Yeah.
4th is change. And this is.
Oh, you don't like that. Okay.
No, that's not my birthday. No. This is one that I do like.
Oh, okay.
I'm going to read because I think it sort of is a sample. If you don't mind me reading it, do you mind?
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
Be the change that you wish to see in the world. Mahatma Gandhi. Change aspects of yourself that prevent you from bringing the healthiest self to a relationship. Physical, emotional, mental, spiritual, wherever you start, you will increase what you bring to the table. We can always learn how to grow up. And then at the end, you have this question, this interactive question. How do we make a change permanent instead of a passing effort?
That's good.
It that, wow, that's a good,
Mhm,
that's a really good thought. That's a really,
mhm.
and just picking that up and like, oh, wow, we need to think about that. How do we make the change permanent?